The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network.
You are now tuned in to the PA Power Podcast, College Edition, featuring Pennsylvania natives Tristan Warner and Rob Waltko. PA Power Wrestling. PA Power Wrestling. Pennsylvania is wrestling.
All right, Pennsylvania wrestling fans, we're back for the Midlands and Scuffle preview here on the PA College Wrestling Podcast. Tristan is not with us today. It's me, obviously Rob Waltko, and we're joined by Dysen, All I See Is Gold, our Hawkeye correspondent out of Punxsutawney. Dysen, thanks for coming on, man. You excited to be here?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to get on here and talk about the upcoming tournaments a little bit.
So let's jump into it real quick. Obviously we have a lot to talk about, but we'll start with the recap. So, right away, Franklin and Marshall, they split down in the Carolinas with a win over Presbyterian and loss over Gardner-Webb. Drexel, as we noted, traveled west. They got wins over Cal Baptist and Poly, lost to Stanford. The match I liked out there was Jarrell versus Griffith, which Jarrell unfortunately fell to him. Some Pennsylvania action. Lock Haven, 26-12 over Bloom, a much improved Bloom team. DJ Feldman with a major decision over Mason. Mason's a guy that Tristan and I talked about in the last couple episodes is really being a surprising guy, but Feldman has been really hot the last month or so. And then Corey Hazel lost to Allard. Allard had lost to him, I believe, 4 times in the past. This is a huge win for him. He's really made jumps in the last year or so. Dysen, out of these first few duels, did anything really kind of catch your eye?
Not really. I didn't. I'm not too familiar with these dual teams really, but not really anything caught my eye on these.
So moving on, we have Pitt 27-10 over Maryland. Our guy Greg Harvey with the win over Spadafora, a nice ranked win. Harvey's been knocking at the door for a while. He's a tough dude, man. I'm glad to see him get that win. That'll really help his case to get to nationals. And then Stout and Romani lost 2 matches that were a bit surprising. We'll talk about them a little later. Obviously, they're going to be competing in the scuffle, but not maybe their best efforts here. But it's a long season. I think most of these guys have 1 or 2 bad ones. Edinburgh had wrestled 4 matches over the weekend. They lost to George Mason and WVU. Had wins over VMI and Hofstra. Jacob Oliver, kind of a bad loss, I'd say, to Lombardo, a guy that you figure he beats. Hasn't really taken the step forward that was hoped, but notched a nice win over Neil Richards after that, so that kind of makes up for it. Varndell did not compete versus George Mason. We talked about the potential state finals rematch with Josh Jones, but he didn't compete. Edinburgh, the score was definitely closer with West Virginia. They lost 22-9, but 3 of those matches that were won by West Virginia were 1-score matches. So, I mean, they win those. They're right in the duel. They possibly even win, depending on how a few things go. But hats off to Coach Flynn and Port for some big wins down there. Bucknell over Long Island, 39-7. Long Island is not that strong. It's their first year at Division I, but still a good win, conference foe for the Bucknell Bison. And a huge win by Clarion, 20-16 over Lock Haven. Luke Warner did not compete again. I'm not sure if he got dinged up or what, but Gramacki notched a win over Maloney. Big one here was Alex Clucker, a guy that Tristan and I have both been pretty high on, lost to Avery Shea. A bit surprising, to be honest, and really it swung the duel. Dysen, you're not too far from Clarion. Do you go and watch these guys wrestle much, or what's your thoughts on them beating Lock Haven?
Yeah, I haven't really been up to many duels there. They actually got a new gym up there. I used to wrestle my area tournament, but then since they had to renovate, we didn't go there last year. And then this duel really surprised me. The coach at Clarion, I saw him tweet earlier today. He said that they got smacked by Lock Haven last year, and then they end up beating them this year. So it was definitely, like you said, a huge win for them, and pretty happy for the Clarion.
The Golden Eagles?
Yeah.
No, good win for them. Shout out to Coach Ferraro and Brock Zackrell, who was on the program not long ago. A great win for them. And shout out to Bagoli, Tyler, with a nice win over Trey Hartsock to seal the duel. I'm in a fantasy league with Rich, so glad to see that he got that win. Fans of both these teams, but glad to see Clarion do well. So what do you say we jump into the Midlands, Dysen? I know that you're probably foaming at the mouth to talk about some Hawkeye action.
Yeah.
So first things first, man, is Spencer Lee going to be wrestling here? And what did you think of him at the U.S. Open?
I think we'll see him at the Midlands, and he looked pretty dang good at the Nationals. He was just tearing people up, and I loved watching him. He looked pretty awesome.
What are your thoughts on what he said afterwards, where he said he doesn't need to train freestyle or folk, is wrestling is just wrestling?
Yeah, I kind of believe that too. We kind of think of that it's kind of something they teach us at Young Guns, like kind of just go out there, and as long as you just training and getting better, and like, I mean, obviously on your feet it's pretty much the same, and just tops and bottoms different. So I mean, I believe it. He said he's only been practicing. He's really been practicing with the college guys in the Hawkeye Wrestling Club practices, and mainly the college practices. So I mean, it's not really much of a difference as long as you're getting in the room and rolling around and getting some mat time.
Yeah, it's not like he has to do much part-tier defense because I don't think he gave up many takedowns.
Yeah.
So 25, though, man, I mean, this is a really good weight. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the top 8 guys. Obviously, Lee is the class of the group from Pennsylvania. You have Michael Colicolo from Penn. He's ranked number 14. Then Gage Curry, who's been solid this year, ranked number 22. The rest of the field, you got Jack Mueller, Pat Glory, Brock Hudkins, Drew Hildenbrandt, Devin Schroeder. Those are all top 8 guys. And then DiAgostino from Northwestern has been a surprise, plus Schwarm and Mancino from Columbia. So it's a deep weight. Lee right away, he's beaten Mueller in the past, the NCAA finals, 2 wins over Glory, has beaten Hildenbrandt. I mean, he's really beaten everyone in the field, but this is kind of like a mini NCAA tournament where you have the top 3 guys ranked here. The only top 4 guys is Piccinini missing. Colicolo and Curry, they've both been solid this year. Colicolo, he split with Schroeder on the year, has a loss to Hudkins. Took kind of a bad loss to Penn State versus Meredith a couple weeks ago, but otherwise been pretty solid. How do you see this weight, Dyson? I mean, do you think Lee gets pushed? How do you see other Pennsylvania guys shaking out?
I mean, Spencer hasn't got a Midlands title yet, and I mean, since I'm a Hawkeyes fan, I'm obviously going to say I think he'll come out on top this year, but I mean, I think he'll definitely get pushed by Mueller and Glory, like Mueller returning runner-up last year, and Spencer beating him in the finals. And Glory actually, he didn't beat Spencer last year at Midlands, but he definitely did push him in the semis, I believe that was.
How'd that match go? Did Spencer get up really big and then get rid in the last 2 periods? I remember it being kind of a surprising match. Yeah,
it was like 12-0 at the end of the first, and then he got ridden for like the last period and a half, and they got like called for a couple stallings on bottom, and it ended up being like 12-4 or something. It was a lot closer than you would have thought.
So jumping up to 33, just as quick as I say 25 might be the class of the tournament. You look at 33, you got Austin DeSanto ranked number 1 currently, has a win over Seth Gross from earlier this year, and has a win over Gonzer, who's also in the field. Rounding out the other top guys, you got Seth Gross, Sebastian Rivera, kind of a surprise up at 133. He's ranked number 3 right now. Travis Piotrowski from Illinois, who's 9. Noah Gonzer, who's 10. Then Louis Hayes from Virginia. And then Bucknell and Bloomsburg have Josh Mason from Bloom and Darren Miller from Bucknell, who are having pretty good freshman years. Mason has a win over Miller, and Miller has a win over Todd Small, who competed very well and was top 4 at CKLV. This is a good weight, man. I mean, I think you have to put DeSanto at the top. I'm going to ask you right now, Dyson, assuming he gets to the finals, who do you like there, Gross or Rivera, to make it on the other side?
I kind of want to see DeSanto Rivera since he's already wrestled Gross, but I mean, if you give me Gross DeSanto part 2, I'm all in.
If you're betting all your Christmas gifts, who do you think's going to win, Gross or Sebastian Rivera?
I don't know. I got to go probably Gross.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think he, he's pretty tough and he's pretty big.
Yeah.
But if he's flat-footed like he was versus DeSanto, Seabass could give him some trouble. Miller and Mason, I think both these guys, you look, there's 6 top-ranked guys, Louis Hayes being the lowest-ranked one. It'd be nice to see one of these guys punch through and get on the podium. 41, Max Murin. He will likely be your number 1 seed. He's ranked number 7, has a big win over Tristan Moran, who's the number 8 ranked guy who's also in this field. Majored Blockhouse last year at the Midlands. Heil maybe has a case for number 1, but I think it'll go to Murin. And then Doug Zapp from Penn, who's having a solid year. He's 6-3 on the year. Will also be in the field. You got Tristan Moran, Josh Heil, number 10. Michael Blockhouse, number 12. Shakir Laney from Ohio is number 19. And then Kazmer from Columbia is the 23. Maybe he doesn't have the same star power as these first 2 weights, but this is a solid weight for sure that could go a long way. I mean, how are you calling it, man, Dyson? Do you see 3 Hawks winning the first 3 weights, or do you think maybe one of these guys slips up here?
Oh, like you said, this is maybe not quite as strong as the first 2, but definitely it could go any way, really, because you got 7, 8, 10, 12, 19. They're all close in rankings, so, they can all hang with each other. So I definitely think Murin can win it, and he's definitely got to be my pick over Moran. He's beaten him twice, and I think he'll get him a third time if they meet. Am
I crazy, or did Max look better than ever in that duel and just in general this year? I think he's looked really strong. He seems to be more offensive. I don't know. I feel like he had like a little bit of a mental breakdown last year. I don't want to say breakdown, but maybe hit a wall a little bit. That first year in the Big Ten can be really tough. Does he look like he's got his swagger back, or is it just me?
Yeah, he's only wrestled 2 matches, I believe, and he's been really like getting to his attacks. And that first match against Wisconsin at Carver was against Moran. He really got to his attacks, and it was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, he looks great, and I think there was a lot of talk from myself and really everyone on the message board saying, DeSanto goes up, Teasdale goes down, and kind of pushes Murin out of the lineup. But maybe he took that personal, or maybe he's just he's just gotten better, or just seems to be getting over that. 49. When you look at this weight from we'll start with the national guys. I mean, it's pretty tough. You got Austin O'Connor. He just got back. I would assume he's going to compete. He's number 1. Pat Lugo's number 3. Max Thompson, number 7. Yaya Thomas, number 8. Griffin Perriott, number 9. Mike D'Angelo from Princeton, 13. Cole Martin is number 14. Kizan Clark from American, number 16. This guy's a sleeper. Keep an eye out for him. We're actually going to have Teague Moore on in a few weeks to talk about American wrestling and this guy in particular. He's really good. And then Alec Hagan from Ohio is 22. From the Pennsylvania perspective, you got Mikey Carr, potentially. He's ranked number 13. He hasn't wrestled. I don't know what to expect with this guy if he does wrestle. And then a sneaky guy right now is Matt Colonia. He's 8-4 on the year. I'd consider him somewhat of a fringe qualifier, but has a nice win over Brett Moore, who beat Sasso. So, that all counts for your rank and your RPI. Do you see any PA guys making noise here, man, or are we going to be on the outside looking in?
I don't know if we see Mike Carr. He's really he's a tough guy. He's a tough wrestler, and if we see him, I think he might push to the podium.
I'm not trying to put you on blast here, Dyson, but do you secretly maybe cheer against Mike Carr? I know that him and Murin had it out a little bit last year, and even though he's a PA guy, I'm sure that ticked you off a little bit.
I loved it last year when he beat him at Big Tens after losing him to in the duel. It was a great match by Max, and then he ended up beating him again at NCAAs, I believe.
Yeah, I think in the second round, he either first or second round, Carr got that win.
Yeah.
So Dyson, why don't you talk about 57 here, man? This is your guy. I think Caleb's definitely in need of a good tournament. How do you see this weight shaking out, and who should we be looking for here?
I'm pretty excited to see Caleb get a rematch against Quincy, who he had probably a tough loss against at the Princeton duel a couple weeks ago, and then go up against the number 1 Deacon. And he, after losing to him last year at Midlands 6-2, and then coming back and beating him 5-3 at NCAAs in the quarters, and then in the 5th place match, both in overtime. So I know Caleb can hang with Deacon, obviously, because he beat him twice. And I think he can definitely beat Quincy. He beat him last year, I think, like 6-2 or something. It was a lot closer than we thought, because Quincy kind of just came out of nowhere, and then now he's in the top 10, top 8. And some people are doubting Caleb after these couple losses to Carr and Monday, but I think he comes out strong. Midlands and then the heart of the dual season against Penn State and Ohio State and all them guys. I think he starts it right now and gets the Midlands title.
Is there a possibility that he's the 4 seed? I think Deacon's clearly the 1. And then Monday and Coleman, Kendall Coleman from Purdue, that is. I mean, they both have cases to be seeded over Young, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they put him as the 4 seed, seeing him ranked behind them. And then he'd see Deacon in the semis, and then Quincy or Coleman in the finals.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know Caleb Young that well. I had him on the show. I know you know him a lot better, but I don't think he probably gives two hoots about where he's seated. And frankly, he can win this bracket if he's on. You know, both his losses this year were really tight, and they were to good guys. I think Monday's, very improved. So I don't know. I don't think it's time to hit the panic button. We'll see how he does at Midlands and then kind of assess.
Yeah.
65. We got Hartman from Bucknell, my alma mater. He's ranked number 18. He started the year at 57, and they just felt it was better to bump up. And frankly, he's been pretty good. He beat up on Perez, who was a top 20 guy, who's also here. I think he's right there with the middle tier guys. But outside of him and Perez at this weight, you got Marinelli and Weck. I think they're a mile ahead of everyone. McCormack from Army is ranked number 8. Shane Oster from Northwestern's 15. Phil Caniglaro from Harvard. This kid's a stud. Keep an eye out for him. He's 16. He's really good. And he's been good since high school. He's just a New England guy. I think didn't get the respect he deserves. And then Kennedy Monday. He is another sleeper, ranked number 20. So this is a pretty deep weight. Dyson, I know this is a Pennsylvania podcast, but is there any way that we don't see Marinelli and Wick, or are they just going to steamroll everyone until we get to the finals?
I think we're definitely seeing Marinelli Wick. I don't really see anyone stopping them.
Has Marinelli, has he mixed it up with many of these guys in the past? I mean, some of these guys are either new or up a weight, so I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either because Hartman, he's up from 57. Him and Caleb actually met last year at Midlands at 57, and then I don't think he's wrestled any of these other guys. He had a close match in overtime last year. I think it was the Midlands quarters, I believe, or maybe semis. It was against the kid from Brown.
Verut.
Yeah, went to OT, and it was almost gave me a heart attack. I was scared.
Yeah, shout out to Ralph Powers from Northeast Elite, was Verut's club wrestling coach, and Mike is one of my good friends. I always kind of kept an eye on that kid because his dad coached him, but yeah, that was a bit of a surprising match. 74, another good weight. This is it doesn't have Mark Hall or Jordan Cutler in it, but it has 3, 4, and 5. You got Mikey Kemmer, friend of the program, Western Pennsylvania stud. Dylan Leidy from Purdue is ranked 4. Bryce Steyert's 5. And then you got Harvey from Army and Gunther from Illinois at 20 and 21. I think this is a 3-horse race. I think it's Kemmer and these guys. Do you see either of these guys pushing him? I mean, I think they're both really good, but I think Kemmer might be in a different class.
Yeah, I think Kemmer handily beats him by probably a 6'2", 8'4", something like that. It'd be like a close match in the score, but definitely controlled. I think he beats both of them. It'd definitely be a little bit more of a test than these early duels, but I can't wait till he sees Hall at the PSU duel. That's going to be a fun one.
Now, how do you see that match going? I see Kemmer getting on his legs a lot, but I'm not quite sure if he's going to finish. I mean, how do you call that match, and how do you see it playing out? I know we're thinking way ahead, but I've been thinking about this match a lot.
Yeah, that's going to, like I said, it's going to be a fun one because it'll definitely be Kemmer's first huge test up at 74. He's looked real good so far, and I think he'll get on his attacks, like he said, but I don't know. I can't really. I think he wins the match, especially with it being at Carver. I think he just gets to his offense and gets going, and the crowd really gets to him, and I think we see a Kemmer win. Yeah,
no, that's definitely gonna be a good one. 184. We have some depth here from Pennsylvania. Maybe not a ton of star power, but certainly some good wrestlers. Noah Stewart. He's 6-0 on the year with wins over Johnny Sebastian and Allard from Bloom. Outside of Luan, who's probably the 1 seed, I think he can go with anyone. In fact, I told Dyson that I think I would favor him over Nelson Brand, so I have to stick to my guns there. Allard, our guy from Bloomsburg, his lone loss on the year to Stewart. Looking for a breakout tournament from him, man. He's one of the most improved wrestlers really in the country, I think. Shout out to Steve Middich and Russ Hughes and the whole Bloomsburg coaching staff for doing a good job up there. Travis Stefanik, ranked number 19. He's kept Nelson Brands from being the next Cale Sanderson, handing him a loss. Small sample size on the year. He's only 5-1, but I think he's a kid that really got better in high school, and I expect him to do the same in college. And then outside the Pennsylvania guys, you got Taylor Luan. He's probably the class of this weight, ranked number 4 from UNI. Nelson Brands, Stud from Iowa, ranked number 9. Johnny Sebastian from Wisconsin, ranked number 19. And then I assume we're going to see Cash Wilkie here, Dyson. Yeah. How do you see that roster battle shaking out? And again, I know it's not a PA. These aren't PA guys, but I think it's good to talk about regardless.
Yeah, I think we definitely do see Cash, and I think this is the determining factor of the 84 spot. And I think Brands beats Cash, but I can't really say. So I'm not sure, but I think we definitely do see Cash here at the Midlands, and I think this is the determining factor for the 84 spot. But right now, I think they're leaning towards Brands, obviously for the starter, but this will be the determining factor.
It's just tough for Brands being so small, and it's like you watch him. It takes a lot of energy for him to be able to push guys around and score, and on the flip side, it doesn't take the other guys a lot of energy to push him. Right? There's just less weight. Like they don't have to be as strong because they're used to moving bigger guys. So he doesn't have a whole lot of room for error. Certainly, you can't question his effort. He fights really hard, but we'll see how he does at a tournament where he's wrestling back-to-back big guys over and over again. 97, a little bit light on the PA front. We got Drew Phipps. He's probably the best guy from Pennsylvania. The top-tier national guys, you got Jacob Warner, number 2. Big win over Pat Bruckey, who's here, ranked number 3. Thomas Lane, number 7. Bruner, number 8. And then J.I. Ello, number 16. Phipps needs to have a good tournament here. He should get on the podium. If he doesn't, he might have trouble qualifying for nationals. From a competition standpoint, he's 0-3 versus Lane, who's just really tough to wrestle from Cal Poly. Took a loss to Warner at the nationals last year. He actually had him on his back late in the match, but couldn't quite secure the fall. But definitely could use some wins here and knocking off one of these guys. Dyson, what do you think of this weight? What do you think of Warner Bruckey? How do you see it playing out?
I think Warner Bruckey will be a fun one. We saw that match at the duel a couple weeks ago, Warner and Bruckey, and Warner was able to come out on top in a last-second takedown. So I'm really excited for that one. I think Warner comes out on top again. I don't know. Bruckey's huge. He's jacked, but I think I got to go with Warner.
Yeah, I mean Bruckey has to be one of the, if not the biggest 197s in the country.
Yeah,
he's an animal. And side note on him, I've heard the Princeton coaches talk about him. They say he's been a leader since the day he got into that program. And I don't know. I'm a sucker for guys that go to school like that, and it's a high-class academics. They do really well, but they're able to make it happen on the mat as well. So shout out to Pat Bruckey for being a stud. Heavyweight, I think we're looking I'm not going to say too much. I was going to say a 2-horse race between Cassiope and Trent Hilger, but you got Matt Stencil in there from Central Michigan. He's a stud, and he's really funky. He's good at pinning people. Jerry Hino from Campbell is ranked number 11. He's wrestled in the World Championship, so obviously he's experienced. McKiernan from SIEU, and then Isley from UNI round out the rank guys. Not a ton of star power here in PA, but I'm telling you, sleeper right away is Garrett Hoffman, former national qualifier. I've said it before, and I've said it again. Has a win over Mr. Anthony Cassar from Penn State. So we'll see what he does out here and how he's able to handle the size. Speaking of Penn State and Mark Hall and Anthony Cassar, I noticed that Mark Hall, for whatever reason, wrestled in the Wilkes Open this weekend, as did some of the other Penn State starters. I know Bravo Young, Verclaren was there. So one thing I never thought I'd say is congratulations to Mark Hall for winning the Wilkes Open. Certainly didn't expect to see him there. Tristan actually pointed it out to me. I wasn't planning on looking at the Wilkes brackets, but they call that the Midlands of the Northeast. So while Penn State might not be at the Scuffle or the Midlands, they're competing in some tough wrestling up in the Northeast. And then Anthony Cassar, did you see him this weekend, Dyson? It looks like he might be pretty dinged up.
Yeah, he went in for a shot and it looked like his shoulder popped out, and it looked on his face did not look good, and he kind of just sat there and knew something was up. I mean, even as an Iowa fan, I hope to see him back on the mat soon. I mean, he's a great competitor and fun to watch.
Now, Dyson, if he's out, I don't want to say does that lock it for Iowa, but I mean, how hard does that make it for Penn State to win?
I think did I see somewhere that is Kirkfleet not eligible for this year?
from what I read from Seton Hall Pirate, he is not eligible. Pirate seems to be up on the rules, so I don't want to question those. But I don't. Yeah, let's assume he's not eligible. And they use Seth Nevels, who's tough, but he's not Kassar. I mean, how does that affect the team race?
I mean, you got to think it almost locks it up for the Hawkeyes because, I mean, that you're losing a almost not definite national champ, but definitely the heavy favorite at that weight. And then that almost, I mean, I think Cassiope can really hang with anyone except Kassar. So then maybe you leaving the door open for another Hawkeye national champ. So definitely really changes the look of the NCAA title.
Yeah, and even if Cassiope doesn't win, maybe that puts him in the finals instead of taking fifth, right? Maybe he loses in the finals and has a bad Conci semis. I mean, like you said, it opens the door, and really I think it's Kassar and Stevenson if both of those guys are in there, and I'm not sure that I put anyone else in that tier until proven otherwise. So if Kassar's out, I put Stevenson a notch above everyone else, but you got Cassiope, Mason Paris, Hilger, like those types of guys, like one of them's got to make the finals, and it sure could be Cassiope. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Kassar. Being brutally honest, I don't think we'll know much, and we might not know much until the Big Ten tournament actually starts. So I wouldn't hold our breath on an update. Any closing thoughts on Penn State, their injuries, the Wilkes Open, and or the Scuffle, Dyson?
Not really, just got to say I'm excited for the Iowa-Penn State duel.
Are you going to make it out there for that one?
I'm trying. Hoping I can get out there.
Anyone listening? Do you have tickets or do you have a media pass or you just need a ride?
I'm trying to get I'm going to try to get a press pass and then then I got to try to find a ride. But I think I should be good, but still looking. That place is going to be crazy.
Yeah, Iowa SID. We've talked in the past. You're a good dude. If you can hook Dyson up, it'd be appreciated. So let's jump into the Scuffle. It's going to be represented by Pennsylvania schools Pittsburgh, Lock Haven, and Drexel. Starting off at 125. Maybe not the strongest weight for any of our PA teams. I think the best option we have here is Luke Warner if he competes. Again, he's 14-3 on the year. Has a high bonus rate of 70%. Was fourth in the Scuffle last year. Wrestled in the duel versus Hildenbrand, hasn't been seen since. So I don't know what to expect with him. If he can't go, Matt Maloney is likely the guy for Lock Haven, who's no slouch in his own right, but I think Warner's is pretty darn good. Nationally, you got Piccinini, Nick Aguilar from Rutgers, Alex Mackel, Sidney Flores from Air Force, Jace Kozler, Northern Colorado, and then Gabe Townsell from Stanford, who I think is a dark horse to get in the finals here. I think Townsell's really tough. He's coming off freestyle, and I know that Spencer says wrestling's wrestling, but not everyone's Spencer Lee, but it'd be interesting to see how this weight shakes out. Who do you like here? I'm not sure if you like anyone, but anyone that you've watched that really catches your eye?
I definitely think Piccinini is probably a head above all these guys, but I think Mackel and Aguilar might be able to hang with him. Mackel's definitely a tough wrestler, but I think Piccinini definitely somewhat runs away with it.
Yeah, I like that Mackel kid. He's tough. He's really gritty. He goes really hard. So I think he's I don't think he's met his potential yet. I think he's going to keep getting better, and he's going to have some good days. Looking ahead to 133, we got our man Mickey Philippi as the number 5 ranked wrestler in the country. I have to say he's probably the class of this lineup. We got Zach Trampe from Binghamton. He hasn't competed in a month. Started the year 6-0, so hopefully he's out there. DJ Fellman, who we mentioned earlier, has been pretty hot. Wrestled, I don't want to say wrestled poorly at the journeyman, but lost a lot. He took a loss to Alvarez there. Was 8th in this tournament last year at 141, but like I said, has been winning a lot the last couple weeks. Then Chandler Olson from Drexel, who's 9-3 on the year, has a nice win over Whitcraft from OSU. Hopefully he can kind of make the most of things. Nationally, you got Sammy Alvarez, Moshe Schwartz from Northern Colorado, Chance Rich from Cal Bakersfield, and then whoever Iowa State sends out there, maybe they send both Todd Smalley, ranked 20, and Austin Gomez, who wrestled Mickey Philippi to a 1-0 match at the NCAAs. I think if Gomez is in here, it's probably him and Mickey at the top. What do you like in this weight class, Dyson?
Yeah, like you said, Mickey definitely up at the top, and if Gomez wrestles him, those two will be up there. And then I really like Sammy Alvarez. I think he could make a splash with those guys, and he really showed us that he's a tough wrestler this first half of the season and moved up in the rankings a lot.
Yeah, Rutgers is significantly better than I thought they were going to be in October, November. I heard that Soriano was redshirting. I kind of wrote them off, but they've done pretty well with their young talent, so shout out to them for developing those guys, even if it is a New Jersey school. 41, I think we have some good PA talent here and really some good national talent. We'll start nationally. We got Ian Parker, ranked number 5 from Iowa State. Oklahoma State's going to be here. They say Cade Brock might be competing. I don't know if that's at 33 or 41. Caden Gefeller, who knows where he's at, but those are two former Brock's a former 2-time All-American. Gefeller, I believe, was the top 10 seed. So some talented guys. Real Woods from Stanford, who I really like. Evan Cheek from Cleveland State. Him and Woods are kind of opposite styles. Woods is like real stingy, real good positional wrestler, and Cheek's pretty wide open, scores a lot of points. And then Lenny Peterson from Air Force. And then on the Pennsylvania front, Jojo Aragona from Rutgers. Wrestled his high school career in New Jersey, but is a Pennsylvania resident. Kyle Shoup last year was 5th and then ended up 7th. Was 5th at the Scuffle, that is, then was 7th at the NCAAs. And then Cole Matthews, he was 7th here last year, beat DJ Fellman in the middle round. 6-2 on the year, got kind of handled by Pletcher after getting the first takedown. Blew a lead versus Pomrinka, but has gotten a couple of wins ever since. He seemingly maybe isn't as strong at the end of matches as he is in the beginning, but sometimes that's more of a dual meet thing than a tournament thing. So, once he fuels up, he might be ready to go. I don't know, man. I mean, I think Matthews and Shoup have a real good shot to win this. I think Parker being ranked 5, certainly he's a great wrestler, but he's beatable. He's not that flashy. He wins a lot off toughness and just outlasting guys. Am I crazy for thinking that, or can our PA guys make a pretty big splash here?
No, I'm with you on that one because in the Iowa State duel this year, Parker really had a tough time with Carter Happel, the Iowa backup, and Happel took him to overtime. So I mean, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if I saw Matthews or Shoup up there at the top of the podium. But the person that really sticks out to me at this weight is Real Woods from Stanford. That dude, he's very flashy and just slick, and he went out against Luke Pletcher, took him to overtime, and it was a great match, fun to watch. And it wouldn't surprise me to see him win it either. This is really a kind of toss-up bracket here.
Yeah, Dyson, as soon as you started saying that, I was thinking to myself that I might even call him the favorite here. And maybe we're going too much off that match with Pletcher, but he is really, really stingy, man. He's got just great skills and it's tough to score on. He's from that Izzy school out in Illinois, wrestled at Montini. Those guys are positional experts. They understand space and controlling ties at a very high level. So, this is a fun weight, man. It's going to shake out a lot for the NCAAs. 49, not a ton of PA star power here. You got Luke Kemmer from Pitt. Dallas Bolsack actually got the start the other night, so he might have regained this spot. Brock Port from Lock Haven, who seemed to be a little bit improved. And then Vincent Foglia from Drexel. I think all of these guys are going to have trouble hitting the podium, but certainly we're not counting them out. Nationally, you got Bulu Wallen, who I think is really good. Jarrett Egan, ranked number 11 from Iowa State, former All-American. Raquir Vandermeer from Stanford, ranked number 18. Russell Rolfling from Bakersfield, ranked 19. Both those guys are really long and kind of funky. They're tough to wrestle. Tanner Smith from Chattanooga, he was a pretty big he had a really good true freshman year at Eastern Michigan, redshirting, and then transferred to Chattanooga. Hasn't really regained that, but he's tough. Jared Angelo from Rutgers. And then probably the sleeper man is Andrew Aliras from Northern Colorado, who's had some pretty good senior level success and junior level success on the freestyle scene. Depending on the publication, was anywhere from 2 to 5 nationally as terms of senior class rankings. Do you think the PA guys make a splash here? And if not, I mean, who do you like here nationally, Dyson?
I mean, I gotta say, Boo and Dagan are definitely up at the top above these guys, but I think Dagan lost to Lugo in the duel and then kind of had a bad Cliff Keen. So maybe he can get a win over Boo and bounce back and move back up in the rankings up to where he was. So I'm kind of excited to see if he bounces back and how he responds to that bad Cliff Keen.
Yeah, no, we'll see. I know I don't know if he had a bad Cliff Keen. He defaulted out in the semis to Lugo, down to 6th. So I don't know if it was. I mean, I'm assuming an injury or a sickness. But we'll see. I mean, he's tough to wrestle, but I think guys are figuring it out just a little bit. Moving on to 57, you got Romani from Pitt and Clucker from Lock Haven, ranked number 12 and 18 respectively. Both coming off some bad losses. Romani lost to Maryland, and then Clucker lost to Avery Shea. I don't want to say bad losses, but guys that they were ranked significantly higher than. So they'll be looking to kind of get back on track here. I think the class of this weight is probably David Carr from Iowa State, and also Jesse Delvecchia from Ryder, ranked number 7, who's very tough. Then Matt Zavatoski from App State, also another ranked wrestler. I think realistically, Romani should be pushing to be top 2 or 3, and then Clucker, top 3 or 4 as well. Do you see either of these guys pushing Carr, or is he just a little bit too good for both of them?
I can't really see them pushing Carr. I think he's just very explosive, fast, and he's got a very nice double leg, and I think he's definitely a contender for the national title this year, and I think he somewhat runs away with this title.
Yeah, because, I mean, Romani's pretty funky, but I could just see Carr finishing quick on him and making it tough. But, it wouldn't be crazy. Both these guys have been to the national tournament a few times, and certainly Carr's a freshman, so sometimes this freshmen have bad matches.
Yeah.
Guy that I really like here at 65 is Jake Wenzel. He's 8-0 on the year. Realistically, he's probably one of the top 5 to 10 guys nationally that haven't competed or qualified for the national tournament that aren't freshmen, right? Like, we don't count David Carr in that, being that he hasn't had a chance to qualify for the national tournament. Sasso, same thing. But, Wenzel's been great, man. Has a win over Ebed Jarrell, who's in the field. He'll be tested, though, by Shane Griffith and Tanner Skygel, ranked number 7 and 9, respectively. And then Travis Whitlake is ranked 14 here for OSU. He's a sleeper. And Nick Kaiosus from WVU, ranked number 22. Outside of that, we got Ebed Jarrell from Drexel. He's 7 and 4 on the year. His losses are pretty respectable. We lost to Griffith, Whitlake, and Wenzel. Beat Skidgel last year, who's ranked number 9, and then beat Kaiosus last year. He's seen a lot of the guys in the field. I don't think anyone really enjoys wrestling Jarrell. He's got a great gas tank, and he's very tough. So hoping to see him bounce back here. And then a guy that I think gets slept on is Dejan Casto from Citadel. He's from Erie. He moved to Charleston, South Carolina. My friend Brantley Hooks actually coached him for a year, and then he ended up going to the Citadel, staying in South Carolina. Lost 8-2 to Griffith this year, but was 2-0 and 2-1 with Skygel, who's ranked number 9. They call him Cheese. He's got great upside. He's a real good athlete. They say he's strong as a freaking ox. Wouldn't mind seeing him get on the podium. I don't know, Dyson. I think Wenzel has a good shot to be in the finals or win this. How do you see this weight ending up?
I think it's kind of a toss-up weight with number 7, Shane Griffith, and number 9, number 10, 14, Travis Whitlake. He's tough. You don't really know who's going to come out on top here. It's quite a toss-up. I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see Whitlake up there. He's a very tough wrestler, but then also on the other side, I could see Griffith because he's got a couple quality wins, and it's going to be a great bracket.
So moving on to 74, we have no ranked guys from Pennsylvania, but we do have Greg Harvey, guy I'm a fan of, coming off a big win over Spadafora. Hasn't wrestled any of the ranked guys in the field, but is tough as heck. Mike O'Malley from Drexel, he's 9 and 3 on the year. I think realistically we could see both guys place. The field after that is Joe Grello from Rutgers, Marcus Coleman, Dean Sherry from Ryder, and then Spencer Carey from Navy. So, 4 ranked guys, none of them are top 8. I think both of our Pennsylvania guys could certainly see themselves getting on the medal stand. And then Jared Seagrass from Lock Haven as well. I somehow missed him in my preview, but he's been in and out of the top 20. Realistically, he's probably the best Pennsylvania guy. Apologies that I didn't write that down, but he's pretty tough. I would like to see him medal as well. Is McGill from Pitt possibly here? I mean, he wrestled 84 earlier. I know you and Dom are buddies. Has he given you any insight into that?
No, I haven't gotten anything from him yet, but I've heard some stuff about maybe McGill down at 74, but I don't know. We'll see.
Who do you like in this field? I'm sure you've scouted out Marcus Coleman for Michael Kemmer in the past. Anyone else you've really watched here, Dyson?
No, not really, but Coleman's definitely a tough, stingy guy, and wouldn't be surprised to see him, I guess, call it an upset over Grillo. And then, but probably those two at the top, I'd say, because Grillo, as he's ranked number 10, and then Coleman, he's just a tough, stingy guy, and I'd probably pick. I'm gonna go with Coleman over Grillo. Actually, I think Coleman gets to win over Grillo.
Yeah, it's a good weight. I mean, they're all good weights, but definitely could be a good weekend for Coleman. 84. Moving on, we got the man Nino Bonacorsi. He's ranked number 8. He'll probably be the 2 seed or the 3 seed. You got Lou Dupre from Binghamton and Sam Colbray, ranked number 10 from ISU. Corey Hazel in here, ranked number 13. Has a win over Dupre last year in the duel or in the Black Knight tournament. Unfortunately, Nino's about 0-4-50 versus Dupre in his life. He's just never seemed to beat this guy, but hopefully can turn that around here. Tanner Harvey from American, ranked number 11. Matt Waddell from Chattanooga, and then Anthony Montalvo from Okie State. My money is saying that it's going to be Dupre and Nino in the finals. Do you see anyone throwing a monkey wrench in here? I mean, Harvey, man, he's probably looking like a 4 or 5 seed. If he can get to those semis, he might be able to knock Dupre off again.
I could see Montalvo also making the finals. That guy's pretty. He's a kind of a dark horse. You don't really know what he's gonna bring out, and I think he's pretty. I think he's a pretty tough wrestler, and got a big one over Oklahoma. I think he's definitely up in there in the running for the finals, but I'll definitely have to say Dupre or Nino probably, and I'm gonna have to go with Dupre, even though I like Nino, fellow Young Guns guy.
Nino spent a lot of time in the Tiger Wrestling Club room as well. I used to get my hands on him a little bit. Well, I really didn't get my hands on him because every time I tried to grab him, he'd circle away. He's really hard to grab, but he's a stud, and he's we interviewed him last year. He's a good dude. But Dyson, I think I need to check out your head. Did you get dropped? Because I'm a little bit concerned you're giving an Oklahoma State guy credit. Do I need to call the paramedics up in Punxsutawney to come look at you?
I don't know. I think I'm okay, but the Hawkeyes are going to smash them this year in the door.
Let's keep an eye on that. If we see Dyson start tweeting any pro Oklahoma State content, we definitely need to call the paramedics, get him checked out immediately. 97, Dakota Gear. He is ranked number 6. He'll probably be the number 2 seed behind Nathan Traxler, number 5 from Stanford, who beat him in this tournament last year. Ethan Laird from Riders, ranked number 15. Kellen Stout, ranked number 24. Took kind of a questionable loss to Maryland last week, but I think he'll bounce back. Nationally, you got Jordan Pagano, ranked number 16, has a win over Jake Woodley this year. Noah Adams, number 20 from WVU, who's undefeated, albeit not versus the toughest competition. And then Jacob Seeley from Northern Colorado, who I swear this dude's been around since I was in college. I feel like this is like his 30th year. Maybe they found some loophole out in Greeley that gives him unlimited eligibility, but I mean, he's got to be like a 12th year senior at this point. I mean, I like the 2 top PA guys here. I think Gear and Traxler should beat in the finals. And I think Laird is a good guy to push either of them and definitely be top 3, top 4. Stout's tough. He doesn't score a whole lot, but he's really not an easy out. I'm calling it right now. I'm calling Dakota Gear to win. How do you see it playing out? And how far is Franklin from Punxsutawney? Is that near you, Dyson? I know it's north.
It's probably about, I'd say, hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. Not too far, I don't think.
Who do you like in this weight? Do you think Gear pulls it off?
I think I'm going to have to go with Gear again, another Oklahoma State guy.
Man, we're going to have to call up there and make sure everything's okay. Heavyweight, we're looking at Demetrius Thomas, probably the number 1 seed from Pitt, ranked number 9. Number 2 seed's probably Gannon Gremmel from Iowa State, who Demetrius beat at the NCAAs last year, 11-7. Joe Doyle from Binghamton, he had a good start to the year. Did not wrestle very well at Vegas, went 1-2. Could compete in this field, though, because after Gremmel, you're looking at Dalton Robinson, who's 21 from Northern Colorado, and Kerry Miller, number 25 from App State. Doyle's got some big moves. I think guys that don't know him may be more vulnerable to be hitting them than a guy he's been around. But I think Meach from Pitt wins this weight, and then I like Doyle to be in the top 6. How do you see it playing out, Dyson? Has anyone beaten Demetrius Thomas?
I think I'm definitely going to have to go with Demetrius Thomas on this one. Gremmel might push him a little bit, but I think Thomas comes out on top.
So team race here, man. I mean, I'm not keeping score. You got to think Oklahoma State and Iowa State are probably the favorites, but I don't know if anyone's going to run away with this. It seems like it's a pretty even field. Okie State, the lineup they've been rolling out, they're not particularly tough at some of these weights. Do you see anyone pushing those two teams? Like, does Pitt maybe make a run? I mean, if they get champs out of Nino, Philippi, and Demetrius Thomas, and Matthews gets in the finals, they can maybe make a push.
Yeah, I was thinking when you said the team race, I was thinking maybe Pitt could push these guys up there with Oklahoma State and Iowa State. Like, they got a pretty tough lineup this year, and I think they could push Oklahoma State and Iowa State in this scuffle.
Yeah, and really where they're good, like heavyweight Thomas. I mean, I'd call him a pretty heavy favorite.
Yeah. Right?
And then you got like Romani, 57 isn't the deepest weight. He could find his way into the finals. So this will be interesting. I didn't count out my points, like I said. A lot of it might depend if like Joe Smith's back in the lineup for Oklahoma State. If he's at 74, obviously, he's probably. I'm pulling up the weight again. I'd call him the favorite if he's there. Montalva, if he wins it, that puts a really big gap, I think, between a bunch of teams. But I'm not as quite of an Oklahoma State homer as Dyson is, so I'm not saying Montalva is going to win. So Dyson, anything else you want to talk about this week, or you want to put a wrap on it?
I don't really have anything else, but thanks for having me on.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for coming. Everyone, thanks for listening. Make sure to check out our social media at PA Power Wrestling. Sign up for Rockfin. I don't know how many of you guys are using it. If you're listening to it on the app, that's great, but there's some really great content there. But until then, man, we will see you guys later.